The Promised Neverland Season 1, if you've never read the manga, probably left you very hype, very excited, and with a lot of questions. And today I'm going to talk about a lot of that stuff. And in particular, I want to talk about just diving into these characters and what the Promised Neverland Season 1 I felt accomplished. Is it worth it? A lot of those things are going to be covered in this one because the Promised Neverland Season 1 is easily the biggest anime of this previous season, or this season that is just ending now. Everyone's been talking about it. So of course, you know, I had to get back on it because I read the manga and reviewed a ton of the manga back in the day. And I gotta tell you right now, as an adaptation for a studio that I had no idea existed, I believe they're called CloverWorks, The Promised Neverland Season 1 showcases a breath of fresh air and a new direction entirely. So let's start talking about the characters. One character in particular that I wanted to speak about is Ray and his importance to this, because one of the things that The Promised Neverland does very well is making sure every character that you see that is constantly present on screen, especially of course the main cast, they always have some sort of purpose. And I feel as though Ray's purpose is constantly the twist, the plot twist. Whenever Ray's involved, that's when big things start to change and big eye-opening pieces come forth. I mean, if you just look at the spreadsheet of everything that happened because of Ray, or with Ray's influence, from starters, let's talk about his rare ability. I'd say it's an ability to be able to remember from childbirth, from being essentially a fetus. I mean, that was one of the things that by nature made Ray's character truly the kind of map to where to go, so to speak, in terms of, again, his involvement. The fact that he had this prior knowledge, the fact that he didn't want to act alone, and seemingly he had other plans, but pretty much didn't want to endanger any of the other children. So already you got to look, when we got the plot twist of that Ray remembered everything and that's how he knew about all of this, it shows again, this is where he is important with twisting things and making things happen. The fact that he was a double agent working for Mama and at the same time going back and forth with Emma and Ray. The plot twist when we find out that he's the spy all along. Again, whenever the plot is going to tip you upside your head and throw everything and shake it around, usually it's because of Ray's involvement. As far as I'm concerned, when it comes to the main three cast that we had for this season, I don't know if we're gonna have that same three in season 2. But again, with the other characters, if Emma's the happy-go-lucky leader, Norman is the guide map, Ray is the one that actually is the one that causes big changes in the story. Down to even when we get the flashback and the revelation about his relation to Mama. On top of all of that, the relationship that he held with Mama for a good majority of the series and a good majority of his life. He constantly going back and forth, and you could see that because of course these are kids at the end of the day. Even though they're really freaking smart, they had the greatest test scores in the world, these are kids. So I think with each and every one of the characters, but especially Ray, they did want so hard to not believe that Mama was doing this to them, that their mom couldn't be. No, she's sweet and innocent, but at the end of the day, he knew all along. So I felt as though it was partially him wanting to have some sort of bond with her. Maybe in a weird way, he possibly thought he could have changed her or something like that. But again, it's always been Ray, the plot twister. Ray comes in, everything shakes up. We get to the next arc, we get to the next event. Ray definitely plays that part. And of course, seemingly looks-wise, he's like the whole Sasuke, you know, the badass. Ray held that position, and honestly, in the anime, it was done just very well. You know, I mean, you could say anything you want, but the Promised Neverland Season 1's anime is very solid. The art and animation, they took some risks, I'm not gonna lie, because I'm starting to see this more and more in animation, where they're using this weird design for the backgrounds, where it looks like it's almost real-life backgrounds, and pasting the characters on there. It works in some scenes. Some of it is kind of obvious when they mix it with CG and like the hallway scenes, where like the hallway looks like a CGI tunnel and stuff like that. So you can definitely see that it wasn't perfect, but as far as majority of it just being consistent and gorgeous, The Promised Neverland won't fail you there. It looks absolutely amazing. Whenever there is big action pieces, the animation is proper. Again, this studio, I believe CloverWorks, really put time and effort into all of that. So if Ray was kind of the plot twister, the game changer, I feel as though Norman was kind of like the guidepost. Norman, whenever Norman came into a scene, that's where he would bring some insight. He was constantly putting the team ahead of himself and believing in someone else, because if it wasn't for Norman pushing Emma in, you know, his own way to become who she is by the end of the series, to be able to make that great escape, things wouldn't have happened. So he was also a character to help groom Emma, because when this story starts, you know, Emma, she's a really intelligent girl, but she has no idea of what's been going on in this farm, this whole lifestyle that they've been living that's a facade. So it was Norman that, once they witnessed that together, that kept pushing her to keep going no matter what. Even towards the end, when everyone thought Emma gave up, the kind-hearted person, it was Norman that really kept giving her that encouragement and that boost. So he played that part very well. It was honestly shocking, and again, I don't have any idea right now if Norman survived or not from the manga. I can tell you 100%, so I'm just as like, holy cow, what happened to Norman? Is he really dead? As you guys are. Big part of me feels like he might not be dead, to be honest with you. I feel as though if they were going to kill him off, we would have seen the demon devour him. I think that that's a great setup for a better payoff down the road of somehow Norman got to escape at some given point. Because again, we didn't see him officially die. We know he went there. We've seen the scene what happened with Sister Crone when she went to that gate. So we can assume, and it kind of looks like it's supposed to make you feel like, yeah, Norman bit the big one, but I just don't really know. And again, he was just a very proper character. When I first read The Promised Neverland, it was kind of a little bit difficult to differentiate the personalities of Norman and Ray. I think the anime made it very crystal clear that Norman is very intelligent, but level-headed, and of course will be the sacrifice for everybody. Ray, very intelligent, impulsive, dynamite, stick of dynamite that he really, you know, he's willing to light stuff up and set it on fire. Norman was just more so the calm person keeping everything afloat. And then that leads me to, of course, Emma. If anyone in this series represents what Shonen Jump stands for, it's Emma. The constant try-hard, go-getter attitude. You know, you got it from Naruto, you get it from Asta, you got it from Goku, you get it from Luffy. Emma definitely plays that part. But the thing that separates Emma, which what I feel as though puts her in an interesting space, is she's more along the lines of a Gon, where she's very innocent, but she'll throw everything out the window when it comes to protecting something that she really loves and cares about, which in this case would be her family. We've seen where she had that evil look in her face that she wouldn't give up. When it comes to her family, Emma is unpredictable, and that's what makes Emma a lot better than just being a standard, hey, I can do this and I can do that and I'm going to try hard. We've seen that story already with Naruto. We've seen it in a lot of different places, with Emma being one of the first in a while that I remember main female protagonists in a Jump series that is super popular. I mean, we had like Medaka Box, which Medaka Box was awesome, but that was quite a few years ago. And to my knowledge, again, a mainstream series with a lead female, which you can say whatever you want about agendas. I don't really care. I think it's awesome and it's a breath of fresh air. It's a female Gon, but obviously you take away all those powers unless they later develop it, because you can't really rule out anything. The fact that we've seen these monstrosity of demons from Jump when they ate that little girl Connie and started off the series, you see, there is no way that a human can fight them off. Maybe if they have some type of special guns, I don't know, because we don't even know what's out there, you know. And then the few guideposts that we had of what's out there, what could be out there, we had Sister Crone. Sister Crone was still, she was a rebel, and you could tell that she was so desperate, and it really makes you wonder just what really is out there. If you haven't read the manga past this point, because obviously the manga goes way further, it will lead you to believe, based on Sister Crone and of course Mama, but we'll talk about Mama in a second, how they are so desperate just to stay here and become a mama and just do this. It seems as though with Sister Crone that that's all she wanted at this point, because of whatever, because there's still a lot of mystery behind stuff. We know at the end of her run that she gave one last, like, it seems as though everybody, including Mama, except for these demons, feel just hopeless. And I think Mama and Sister Crone are products of people that have just given in. They realized possibly somewhere along the way that they just can't defeat this threat, especially Mama. But Sister Crone, she was kind of like the unexpected ally in the end, because she was trying to do her own thing. She didn't really care about anybody. I think rage and this jealousy and anger and this hatred of living this lifestyle that's forced upon you is what made Sister Crone kind of want the kids to escape. Because if you look at it closely, Sister Crone and Mama, in a way, they kind of wanted them to escape, but then at the same time, moving on now from, don't get me wrong, Sister Crone, incredible character. I loved her. I think it was great. The games, it was basically almost a training arc, but a villain that is really good, helping the characters to train, which is again something different for Jump. I mean, you've seen characters in, of course, like in One Piece when Zoro goes with Mihawk and stuff like that, but you've never seen it quite in this fashion, where No, Sister Crone, she would have let them possibly die. She just wanted to leave them a little hope in case things went disarray, and she left that pen behind and a couple other things. So I'm really, really interested to see how much Sister Crone's impact in the future, based on the tools that she gave them, the knowledge and whatnot, will carry on. Because Sister Crone was very vital to kind of just raising the morale. Honestly, like, whenever Sister Crone went extra hard, they went extra hard. It was another variable thrown into this seemingly impossible situation. And then that's where I bring in Mama. Mama, you can tell she is a very complex character. And I think, to simplify it in one big sweep, is that this woman gave up. This woman went through the ringer. She, you know, possibly tried to escape. I remember one of the flashbacks, it was her like jumping over that pit that is in between the wall that blocks the kids from the outside world. So possibly Mama at some given point tried to escape, did all of that, and realized it ain't worth it. Whatever her relationship is with Grandma, the other lady that is seemingly real in charge of all this, maybe she forgave her for trying to break away of some sort. And that's why she was able to get this job, and she, in her mind, just gave in to fear. I think fear is what drove Sister Crone to be that way. Fear is what drove Mama to be that way. And of course, with the kids, this whole series is based on being driven by fear. These kids don't want to die. They don't want their family to die. Sister Crone don't want to die. She wants to be a mama. Maybe you get to a certain point. Maybe if you're not fertile anymore, maybe the monsters, the demons eat you. And maybe that's why she was trying to hurry it up and get it done quick, because second they catch out that you can't give birth, because being able to give birth to a child in any fashion in this series seems as though it's very important. But again, Mama, such a great character, because on one hand, you can tell in a weird way she wanted those kids to escape. In a weird way, she was, in her mind, at the same time protecting them, because in her mind, even though she wanted them to see freedom, at the same time, maybe whatever she saw is what really made her say, it's better here. So that's so interesting, getting her flashback, just all around. Mama was probably one of the best first arc villains that, again, it's hard to even classify. Like, it's not black and white, like, you know, a cell popping up on Earth or pain coming and destroying the village. This is a very personal and intimate struggle with somebody that they all loved and looked up to their entire lives, a mother figure just kind of destroying their lives before their eyes. But when you peel back the layers of the person, you see as though maybe Mama is a good person, and in her way, this is how she is protecting her children by, at least you get to live till 12. Maybe in her mind, she settled on 12 years old is the best I got. The 12 years old is the best I can protect these kids. After that, they won't let me. And maybe that's why Mama didn't even want Sister Crone to do anything and immediately got rid of her. She was not protecting herself at that point. Maybe she was protecting the kids. I mean, in and of itself, the interesting thing about this series is that the place that they live in, the Gracefields house, it seems as though it reminds me of Attack on Titan. Because that's what The Promised Neverland gave me, those type of feels at first. It felt like it was a different version, different situation, but the same basis and premise of Attack on Titan. Wanting to leave these walls at a certain point because you find out that life, the way you think it is, isn't all it's cracked up to be. And at the end of the day, Attack on Titan, they had older cast. This is younger cast, but these kids are probably way smarter than most of the Attack on Titan cast. And that's not to shade them. These kids are real geniuses. But the setting and the world building that this series did to showcase, this is a dire situation. This isn't the only plant that is, you know, using these kids in child trafficking and basically having them devoured and everything. To my knowledge, I believe there was, what, like 4 other ones or 3 other ones, something like that. There was several other houses around there, which makes me wonder, I wouldn't mind to see if any of those other kids try to break out, see what their story is like. This is one of those stories where if you get a good writer and artist, you can have 3 Promised Neverland spin-offs. Get 2 other households, 2 different situations, 2, maybe one of them, the kids don't make it. The demons get them in the end. That would be exciting. Or flashbacks of what led, I wouldn't even mind a mini-series of Mama's life. Just getting all the details in and out. This is a great series where I'm not saying to milk it, but there's a lot of story to be told with all the elements based on the incredible world building of the Gracefield Orphanage. And then of course the other characters, Dawn, Gilda, Phil. To be honest with you, the more they started adding to the cast, it was like, okay, it's showing Emma's good nature and sticking through and through to her word that she's escaping with everyone. Of course, in the end, they figured out, well, we need some kids to slow Mama down, so Phil's still behind. Phil, I honestly find Phil way more interesting than both Dawn and Gilda combined, because Phil seems as though he knows more. I wouldn't be surprised if Phil was a double agent the entire time. I don't know. There was rumors about it when I was reading the manga way back when. I'm not spoiling. I just don't know. And with all that being said, breaking down the characters and the world of The Promised Neverland Season 1, flat out phenomenal series. If you love Shonen Jump and maybe you're past your days of checking out the latest Naruto like a Black Clover or My Hero Academia, you're done with that, but you still want that feel that a shonen manga from Shonen Jump gives you, in adaptation form, of course, of an anime, The Promised Neverland Season 1 absolutely delivers. I think it's going to be interesting moving forward with Season 2, because you gotta remember, everything that we know about The Promised Neverland changes next season. It's no longer the struggle to get out of the house, it's a struggle to survive in the wild. Also feels, honestly, to throw my 2 cents in theory, it seems as though that's more metaphoric, of people wanting that great escape. But their great escape is a Neverland that doesn't exist. Because that big dip down there, it felt like a promised Neverland. And there's so much more to this, honestly. Great storytelling, great writing. If you like a Death Note, if you like an Attack on Titan, I could see you liking The Promised Neverland. And it's just phenomenal. My score would easily be 8.5 to a 9. More than likely, yeah, we're gonna go with the 9. I will say that it did feel sluggish towards like the second half of the anime, but that was due to the manga, to be honest with you. I feel as though the creators, they thought they were going to get canceled and probably only planned for this, so midway through they had to stretch things out to possibly work on Season 2 or anything moving forward. But Promised Neverland Season 1, absolutely awesome anime. Go check it out. Who's your favorite character? But let me know what you guys think. If you've seen The Promised Neverland Season 1, do you feel as though that was amazing? That was an instant classic? Where do you predict it going from here, moving forward with Season 2 if you don't read the manga? I think I might get back into the manga because I remember I was loving the manga. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, hit the bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links of course in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always people, have an awesome day, and remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Bow. Have an awesome day. Can't forget the music.
For now it's whatever, one day I'll be your favorite for never. No matter how you know.